Well, hello and welcome to another video on this channel. This time it is another Find the Win, and just like the last Find the Win, this one happens to involve Villa. And yeah, this Find the Win situation came up in random play against the AI. As you can see, it's turn 8. We have this hand. We don't have any actions left. 3 money. And if we play our treasure, 7 money. 1 buy. And yeah, seemingly lots of gains. And yeah, there's a bunch of stuff in this kingdom going on. So if you would like to find the win yourself, you can either now think about it right now, or think about it after I've gone through the kingdom. I will try to not spoil too much. Of course, I will focus more on some cards. And also, well, there are actually two ways to solve this. So this is a slight spoiler, or many multiple ways to solve this. One way is, in my opinion, the somewhat easy route, but still very instructive, and the other one ends up with, okay, you might want to listen away, 58 victory points. So that line is a bit more potent even. But how to get there, we will get to in a second. And now I will hide the camera because I will now go through all the cards one by one. Feel free to skip that, skip to the solution or whatever you might want. But yeah, there's Squire, which gives you a coin on play, and then you can choose between two actions, 2 buys or a silver. You can also trash it for an attack card, but that's not going to be relevant here, as there are no attacks. Church lets you set aside 3 cards for the next turn, also not super relevant. Gear is +2 cards and also lets you set aside 2 cards. Then we have Goatherd, which lets you trash cards from your hand. Warehouse +3 cards, 1 action, discard 3 cards, so a sifter. Bridge gives you +1 buy, +1 coin, and makes cards cost everywhere 1 less. And Inventor, in the same vein, gains a card costing up to 4, so it doesn't give a buy, but then also cards cost 1 less this turn. Interesting, by the way, that the wording is so different. I believe Bridge's wording has been changed, and Inventor's wording just hasn't gotten changed. Anyways, I'm getting on a tangent. Flagship, once you play this, the next time you play a non-command action card, you replay it. And yeah, that's also a thing that can occur, I guess. Fortune Hunter lets you play treasures from your deck and gives you +2 money. And finally, Villa, that says +2 actions, +1 buy, and +1 coin. You'd return to your action phase if you're in your buy phase, and you get +1 action, and you gain it to hand. So lots of things that make it really, really good and very prone for these kinds of find a win situations. But well, maybe one day you'll also stumble upon something like this and think back to this video. Because there are 2 more things that make this even more interesting and actually possible at all. One is practice, saying you may play an action card from your hand twice, and this costs 3 and does not give the buyback, so it also costs the buy essentially, but it can double play actions from your hand. And finally, there is nearby, a trait that is on Goatherd, and that the nearby trait says when you gain a nearby card, you get +1 buy. So when you gain Goatherds, you get +1 buy. And notably, the flagships are already gone. The villas are only at 6. And yeah, this should give you a good idea of what this kingdom is about. And now I will start exploring the ideas in this kingdom. I will not quite go for the solution, but we will get there pretty soon. So the idea is that one thing with cost reduction is that essentially it allows you to, let's say we just play inventors for villas a bunch, and lower the price of Villa's flagship, this bridge, and already we have gotten everything down to cost 0. And now this is of course pretty good, because then cards cost 0, and well, we can buy out the last few villas here and already have piled 2 piles. By the way, I forgot to mention one part of the puzzle is that the last 3 cards in my deck are just coppers. So yeah, I could not have known this, because also I do have a church, so I could have trashed them before. But well, actually, given the one estate in my hand and the 1 victory point, and the fact that we saw 4 coppers here, you might have deduced it already. Anyways, I'm getting on a tangent, but seeing this, we've lowered the costs. We are at 1 victory point, AI is at 3. So even though we can almost empty the gears, we are not quite there points wise. But what we could do, we could just, okay, and then this is the first way to solve this. I actually only discovered this after seeing, like, after finding the complicated solution. But yeah, Goatherd giving you the buyback on gain essentially lets us pile Goatherds very easily right now, and then we have 5 buys left for double province, triple province, and even duchy estate. Very easy, very simple. Okay, that was the first solution. I gotta say I was pretty disappointed about missing this, because nearby, yeah, nearby and cost reduction, same with forum and cost reduction, regularly cause autopiles, and so does villa and cost reduction, so that's already super strong stuff. But yeah, there is more here. I mean, okay, win is a win, but let's say the AI were ahead by let's say 40 victory points, and we were in this dire situation having to find this win as if our lives depended on it. And we knew that there are 3 coppers down there because we have 4 in our hand. We have 1 victory point, 1 estate. 2 estates are probably in the trash. Now we find this hand and we think very hard about how we can win this. Now we know that practice can essentially double play a card from our hand, and that means if we buy practice and practice a bridge, that we double play the bridge, so we have reduced the cost of everything by 2 instead of just 1 if had we normally played the bridge. But notably the amount of buys that we have stays the same, because I mean before okay, sorry, let me illustrate this by playing a villa first. Like, if we were in this situation, practice the bridge, okay, we would reduce the cost of everything by 2 and end up with a little less money. If we just played the bridge normally, of course, without the practice. If we just played the bridge normally, we would have 1 more money, but also the same amount of buys and not reduced anything. So just practicing our gainers or plus buy givers is very instructive, does not give us more gains or more buys. Unless a card were on the board that actually lets us get plus 2 buys, and that card is Squire. So the idea for this find to win is to get 2 of those, to get a Squire in our hand and then practicing it, because practicing it will give us actually 4 buys, and that is crucial, letting us scale up our buys. Now let's go back to the beginning of this find the win, and let's play it out. So we know that there are 3 coppers down there, so we will need to draw through them to get to the Squires. How do we do this? Well, we could either practice or flagship the gear, it really doesn't matter, but that will allow us to draw 4 cards. Before that, we will need more buys, for which we can just practice this bridge. Of course, not go to next turn. Not accidentally press and buys. I mean, I'm in this explaining mode and not paying full attention. I thought we were still in our action phase because we had just played the bridge, but of course practicing it is in our buy phase. Oh well. But that's the beauty of these videos. But then we can just yeah, by practice the bridge, then practice the Inventor to also gain us a villa to get back into our action phase, and a gear is crucial here to have this gear in our discard, because then we can have this other draw card in our hand. Now we just double play this. We play the villa and then double play this gear to draw it up and have an empty discard pile. Decline all that, and now we get to practice this Inventor again. So it's somewhat important that we wait with this. Of course, we could have also gone for other stuff. And now the important thing is to not run out of draw. This is a common theme also with Villa and an empty deck. You always want to, if you can do loopy stuff somehow, you want to keep draw in your hand somehow. Again, I almost pressed end buys, but of course we do want to get back to our action phase to draw these things. So we just buy a Villa and yeah, play the Villa, draw those cards, and not stash anything aside. Although at this point we can stash away this annoying estate, it doesn't matter. And now we have 7 money and 1 buy. And now the magic begins, because we get to practice the Squire for 2 buys twice. And now we can buy Squire and Gear and Villa. And suddenly we are in the same situation, but we do have 2 buys and the same amount of money. And we can do this once again and end up in exactly the same situation, but we have 3 buys now. And our actions do the same. Buy Squire Deer, Villa, and now we have 4 buys. And this way we easily scaled up. And now we only need to end our actions. Since we do want to pile the provinces, we will want an Inventor in our deck. And yeah, what we can do here is just practice this once again. And now we can just buy Inventor, Squire, and Villa once again. And one way to do this would be, and to not gain the Villa already, but rather go for maybe 2 more Squires here, because the last 4 cards we don't need any draw cards in there anymore. And then practice the gear, and then buy the Villa. Could also, yeah, think about buying a gold to increase the amount of money we have. But yeah, let's just practice the gear. Draw up here. Of course, as you see now, we already have, yeah, we have the 2 buys. We have everything down at 0. There's 1 Villa left. It's very easy to pile out here. In fact, we can, before we gain this last Villa, we can already pile out the Goatherds for good measure as well. And yeah, the last thing to do now is get those last Inventors played. And to do this, we notice that with just 4 money, we won't be able to double play all of the Squires, but we can rather double play, normally play 1, then double play this one. And I think I've messed up somewhere. Oh no, I haven't messed up somewhere. It's exactly the same as I found before. You get to practice all of this stuff and then just lower the provinces to 0 and end up at the 58 victory points that I promised you. And there we go. We win with 58-3 in 8 turns off of this crazy board. It's a bit sad that we didn't buy this last gear. Could have also, of course, emptied that pile too. But yeah, I'd say 5 empty piles and 1 gear left is a good thing to happen in just 8 turns. So with that, I hope you enjoyed this somewhat chaotic Find the Win. I hope I explained the concepts well. Practice Bridge is a thing that already came up in another daily. where it was super interesting and relevant, and I think also induced a find the win situation. Villa is always really good for that, and the trick of getting more buys with practice Squire is especially important if you have some sort of cost reduction. Anyways, that wraps up this video. Brief and, brief, 15 minutes. I don't know what I talked about so long. But yeah, that wraps up this second Find the Win video. I don't know when the next one will come, but I will probably set aside those interesting Find the Win situations and record them from time to time. And until then, I'll say goodbye and see you on the next one.